Fuck what they talking about, I ain't worried.
Alright, so Drake just dropped his teaser single for his upcoming album, Iceman. And this is a pivotal moment for Drake in his career, after everything that's been kind of just going wrong for him, post beef. We saw Drake do a lot of weird things. He was uploading a lot of, lackluster music. A lot of people didn't really like it. He dropped Wagwan Delilah. He dropped 500 gigs. He was really just trying to do anything he could to kind of, get the people back on his side. Didn't really work out for him. So with him dropping this new album, this really has to, it has to hit hard for pretty much everybody in hip hop if he wants to kind of get back to where he once was, if that's his goal. But if I'm being completely honest, I think that those days are over with Drake kind of dominating everything and just being on the top all the time. Yeah, that's done. And I kind of want to get into and break down the whole Drake rollout and, the single that he released. So let's kind of dive in. So on July 4th, 2025, Drake dropped a single for his album Rollout, What Did I Miss? It wasn't a formal press release or some big scheduled announcement. It kind of just arrived in a weird, cryptic live stream called Iceman Episode 1. It's out on YouTube right now. And it was pretty much just Drake, walking around in Ice Warehouse, kind of like acting like he's working there. And it reminded me of the video he did with Future when they were like mechanics or whatever. It was kind of that type of vibe. And there's a lot of people saying that in the live stream itself, there's a lot of subliminals and he's taking shots at, a bunch of people, specifically Kendrick. I know they said that he was like carving out a ice coffin for him, and it was like a 3 foot. It was like a 3 foot long ice block. That was kind of funny. But I mean, me personally, I don't know if Drake is like losing his mind or something, but it just makes no sense that you're dissing or you're sending subliminals, you're sending shots at people when you're literally in an active lawsuit against a diss song that is about you, which I don't know, it's just kind of ironic, and it's just interesting to me. That's why I kind of wanted to, and that's kind of why I wanted to make a video about it. And when I heard the song at first, to be honest, I didn't really think it was too bad, right? It's definitely a lot better than all the previous records he's been dropping, post beef. Just sonically, to my ears, I didn't think it was, didn't think it was too bad. I thought it was actually kind of good for the standard that he's been kind of setting with all the records that he's been releasing recently. But when we kind of dig deeper into what he's actually saying, he's sneak dissing a lot in the record. He's acting tough again. He's rapping again. He's rapping in front of a bunch of guns, and it's like, how much more corny can you really get? You know what I'm saying? But I think people are more angry about the fact that he's kind of sneak dissing again, and it really has everything to do with, the lawsuit. I'm seeing a lot of people saying like, how are you dissing? You're suing over a diss song, and it makes no sense. And I'm not mad at that. I actually agree that it's kind of goofy, the way he's kind of going about it. When I say that I didn't think it was a bad song. I kind of just mean sonically, it doesn't sound terrible, but that's just my opinion. And in the song, he's kind of doing his thing again, where he's talking about people betraying him and stabbing him in the back or whatever. And he's kind of been talking about that for, I want to say, like, since Certified Lover Boy, really. And on the record, he's still using the same flow that he's been using for years. I'm not going to say that I'm shocked that he didn't switch it up, because I did think that he was going to, try something else. But this does sound like a lot of other Drake songs that we've heard in the past. In the record, he took shots at, a lot of people, saying, his friends were going to, the pop-out show or whatever, probably talking about LeBron. He was saying how people were, like, pretty much glazing him during the headlines era and whatever, and now they're switching up, going to the pop-out. I don't know, bro. I feel like Drake has this problem where he feels like everybody he meets is like his most loyal, trusted friend or whatever. But these are really just business relationships that he has with these people. And I don't get how you can be almost 40 and not understand that not everybody is your friend, So it's kind of weird and pathetic. But anyway, the reason why I'm even really making this video is because I feel like Drake now, this is the most important time in Drake's career, right? This next album is either going to kind of be his comeback, it's going to be redemption for him. He's going to prove everybody wrong, whatever, and be the dark horse, I guess. Well, now he's kind of like an underdog, if I'm if I'm kind of just looking at it like that, but or it's really just gonna solidify his decline, right? And me personally, I've been thinking that Drake has been falling off, I want to say since like Scorpion, he's been falling off. After Views, to me, that's kind of that's really when I stopped looking at him as like how I used to, because the music just wasn't the same after that. I feel like, me personally, I really wanted on this album for Drake to kind of get vulnerable, reflect on the things that happened, during the beef, post beef, whatever. Kind of just learn from the L that he took, really. I think that would be some great music out of Drake, because he's always been at his best when he was vulnerable. I mean, just look at Take Care. I mean, that's clearly one of his best albums. To me, it's Take Care, and then it's Nothing Was the Same. But listening to What Did I Miss, I have a good indication of what type of album this is going to be. I really feel like this is going to be him trying to act like it didn't faze him, and that he's not the problem and that everybody else is the problem, just shifting the blame away. He's still going to act like he's the best and that he really doesn't need anybody. And, and I think it's going to be if that's the direction he's taking, it's going to be a bad look for Drake, really. But let me know in the comments what you guys think, just based on What Did I Miss and everything that has happened. Do you think that Iceman is going to save Drake's career, give him a good bounce back? Do you think he's going to come back and redeem himself? Or do you really think that this is just the start of the decline for Drake? So yeah, just a quick little video, kind of some of my thoughts on the whole Drake thing, his album coming out. If you made it this far, make sure you leave a like, comment what you think, subscribe if you're new, and if you are subscribed, I appreciate you. I am going to be making a return back to YouTube. I kind of just want to do things a little differently. I know I have some lost time I have to make up for, I've been gone for a while, so just stay tuned. I'm going to make it up to you guys, but I appreciate everybody that watched the video. Yeah, that was pretty much it. See you guys on the next one.
However long it take, I'ma take my time. It's gonna show really which. Heard a lot of shots before I got to take mine.